Oh yeah.
Woo! What's going on, peeps? It's Timmy Joe making videos about computer parts all up on the internet. Don't worry, it's broken. Today on the program, yes, I'm still in my home office. I'm supposed to move out June 1st, and landlord still hasn't finished painting my new office. So I'm in limbo right now. Great time to talk about a weird leak that was released over the last couple of days featuring the 3080, the new RTX card that should be coming out this year. And it looks pretty damn legit, and it looks very weird. You want to see? Check this out. Feast your eyes on a leaked photo from Chip Hell released on video cards here of the RTX 3080. Oh my goodness, what is going on here? It looks freaking naners. Naners! So weird. So this two different sides of the same card. Like, obviously it's two different cards, but that's the top half. Or the, whatever, the half that's on the bottom when it's in your case. It's this part, the top half of the card. And the bottom half has a fan in it. What? Where are the power connectors? I don't know. They might be around the corner here. But there's lots to discuss here. So, Ampere, I mean, this looks like legit stuff. There's the blue plastic on it, like it's a ready-to-ship item. This looks like finished hardware. It doesn't look like a prototype to me, because why would, well, I don't know. There's like little, it looks like they've got little, maybe quality assurance tags on them or something. They're doing a final round of checks or something like that. But it definitely looks like a real picture that someone snapped with their cell phone in a bad lighting condition because they weren't supposed to be taking pictures of this. And Chappelle released it here, and we don't know a lot, but we can tell a few things from this. So, weird design. A blower design, but not a regular blower design like this, where you have a sideways mounted fan here that's blowing air through the card, expelling it out the back. No, this appears as though, instead of using the regular old design they came up with for the last gen of RTX cards, which made sense, they looked very similar to a regular old video card, and they worked pretty well. I don't have a reference RTX card, I've never had one, but here's an RTX 2080 Ti. It's the Zotac, the cooler on it, and their old cards look like this, right? They look like, two fans on a card like this, and it works. And there's a vapor chamber in it, kind of like, well, if I grab the blower here, it looks, take this apart here, they had something like this in here for a heatsink with two fans blowing on it, where there is a vapor chamber in the back, unlike, I don't know if you want to grab a more traditional heatsinky kind of deal, where there's just heat pipes running through a bunch of metal. This is like closed off at the back, and it expels the air from the cards out the side, and the heatsink here is hooked to a vapor chamber, which is a raised part here with, like, there's liquid in a little chamber here, right, that is able to, exhaust heat or, move heat from the GPU through to the heatsink a little better than if this was just like a copper slug with no vapor chamber. So that's a reference card, and even the last gen used a similar bigger heatsink than this with two regular kind of fans blowing on it. This thing looks like, grab my RTX 2080 Ti here, and imagine it's this thing here we're looking at. There's a fan right here, if it's in your case like this, right here's your power supply. There's a fan here that intakes. If you look at the fan direction right here, and you look at a standard case fan, and the standard case fan would blow at my face, the blade direction is exactly the same. And that's kind of weird. Now, they could reverse and make the fan blow the other way so that it's blowing the air out that way, but why would you make the fan blades that, like, the way they are if that's what you were going to do? It would make way more sense for you to just flip the fan direction, because they've done that for the back, as we'll see in a second. So we're seeing here that it will intake air through here, pull it through the card with a vapor chamber similar to this, I'm sure, and it will expel the heat out the back with another fan that's located around this area and blow hot air right up into your CPU. Now, if you're using an AIO, not really going to be the biggest deal, although you will need some sort of air flow that way, but most fans, Most cases have a fan that exhausts right here, so it could go up and like this way. But what if you have a tower style CPU cooler? That hot air is being blown right into it. Right into it. It makes no sense. So unless for some reason they're using counterclockwise spinning fans, why did they put the fan direction this way? I don't know, but it looks like it grabs air from right above your power supply and blows it right into your CPU cooler. Isn't that weird? Blows air right in here, goes through the card, and expels it out the back of the card right here. Super, super weird. And then there's no power connections in this spot. This is the top of the card. Normally there'd be power connectors right here. We'll assume that they're on the side. In fact, if we scroll down a bit here, and we'll talk about this weird PCB in a second, it looks like the power connectors are there, which means the card will have some sort of wiring, or probably more like a direct copper connection through this part of the heatsink, connecting the power cables through to the PCB, which is really weird because if you want to take this apart and put a water block on it, you're going to have to come up with some way to put that power connector in there. So it doesn't look like you're going to want to be water cooling with this card. And then look at the PCB. If you look through the back here, you can see that the PCB kind of ends at this triangle here, leaving us to believe that there is a wedge out of the back of the PCB for some damn reason. Well, I guess the reason would be to facilitate this fan here. But like, what? Why did you design it like this? And we've seen there are Z490 motherboards with like triangle cutouts, just to maybe to look cool. Maybe it's easier these days to make PCBs that are differently designed to accommodate different things like this. But super, super weird this whole situation. What are you going to do for water blocks for this? There's several questions there. Why is the air appear to be expelling right where your CPU would be? I don't know. Super, super weird stuff. So I don't know. There's another render here. I think this was from WCCF Tech or something like that. Someone made what the card should look like. It straight up says this is not an official render on it. But that's a pretty good look at what the card would look like from either end. And then we see those power connections that might be at the back there. Just super, super weird the way this thing's designed. I have no idea why they'd be doing it like this. It's so weird. So Chip Hell, thanks for sharing this with us. Definitely gave me pause when I was like, what is going on there? And I mean, it looks cool. It looks kind of cool, but the thermal design of it makes no sense. Why they wouldn't just use the conventional, cooler they designed for the last gen of GPUs, I don't know. I'm sure that this generation of card will be much more efficient. It should be 7 nanometer as opposed to, I believe the last gen was on 12. So there should be an efficiency gain there, but I don't know. And then we see that this is an RTX 3080, so it looks like we're not going to get a 3080 Ti right away, unless we are. But I don't know. There's just so many more questions here than answers, and I just don't know why they did this. It's just super, super weird. And then if you look, it kind of seems like these, fins here are heat sinks having to do with maybe the VRM that might be on like the edges of that triangle. Those look like the actual heat sinks. And is the air blowing out there too? I don't know. It's super weird. Or is it just all cut off inside this one area? I don't know. It looks like these are fin heat sinks. So what's with this design? It makes literally no sense. Now, I will say that when you do make a tunnel of air, it works fairly efficiently. I built a computer case out of sheet metal last year around this time, maybe about a year, 11 months ago. And I made like a box that had 2 big 120 mil Noctua fans on one side and, whatever fans I could fit on the other side with the IO and stuff like that. But there were no vents on the whole, of the case. So it made it so it was just this wind tunnel. And it actually worked out very, very well thermally. Even with a small heatsink in that case, I could overclock a CPU, no problem. And the graphics card was fairly cool because all that air is just coming out of there. There's no stagnant air that's, going to be left in and around here. And when you think of a normal design, it's just pulling air from the bottom in, much like this one is designed to do, but it expels the heat out the sides of the card, which does end up just lingering in the case unless you set your airflow in your case up properly. But this is weird. I mean, if this was set up so that it expelled the air the opposite way, I'd make a little bit more sense to me. Or if it expelled the air like a blower does out the back of the card here, somehow, maybe. I don't know, but this really is just a bananas looking design here that just it raises so many more questions than answers, and I don't know. So what do you guys think of this? Huh? What do you think? This looks cool, but it's also so weird and different. I just don't know if it'll work out. I guess we'll have to see when it's launched, but I want to know what you guys think. Is this real? Does this make any sense at all? Maybe someone has like this triangle PCB business. Maybe you have some input that you can help out here, but I'm flabbergasted as to why they would do this. Like reference PCB, right? Now it's got a big triangle out of it. This is a Zotac cooler that uses the reference PCB. I know this because I bought this cooler and I put it on a reference PCB and it fits perfectly, right? So are the OEMs that are going to be making cards, are they going to be designing cards like this? Are they going to use that triangle cutout, or is it just going to be hidden inside of here? What's the deal with the power connectors? What's going on? So many more questions than answers, and I guess I'll leave it up to you. So I'm at Watch Timmy Joe, Instagram and Twitter. Hopefully the next couple of videos you see me in a new office. There might be a delay in some content coming up, but I had to dive into this because this is weird. And it's so head scratching. Pulling in air from above your power supply and exhausting it into your CPU area. I don't know why they design it like that. It makes no sense to me. I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there.